Hey guys, I'm back again with the third video in my Eating Disorder Awareness Week Q&A series. In this video, I will be answering the question, how did I develop a healthy relationship with food and exercise? So in this video, I'm going to touch a little bit on how I reshaped my relationship with food through intuitive eating. I'm going to talk about my relationship with exercise, my history of compulsive exercise, and how I overcame that through recovery. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what my kind of life looks like now, my relationship with food and exercise are now. So keep on watching. For those of you who are new, my name is Lauren Bersalio. I am the founder and editor at Libro Magazine. We are a non-profit online magazine and community providing resources and support for mental health and recovery, so I encourage you to check us out. As a disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. These are just my opinions, my personal experiences that I share in these videos, and obviously consult with your own medical team, your own recovery team before making any changes to your lifestyle. When I entered recovery for my eating disorder, I had struggled with bulimia and anorexia for years and years. One of the things that my therapist brought to the table was intuitive eating. Now, if you haven't heard of intuitive eating, it's becoming very popular in the eating disorder recovery community. Sometimes people use the term mindful eating, which is very similar. Sometimes it's like slightly different. The basic principles of intuitive eating are eat when you are hungry, eat what your body craves, stop when you're full. So the first part of this journey towards, learning to eat intuitively was eating whatever my body craved. So for me, this looks like eating a lot of Nanaimo bars, a lot of chicken strips, and a lot of taters, like those potato things. Basically, what's really common is to start craving a lot of the foods that you have been restricting over the years. So the foods that I loved, that I had kind of forbidden myself from eating, those were the things that I ultimately craved. And the idea isn't that you suddenly start binging on these foods. It's just when I was hungry and I sat down and I listened to my body and just what I wanted to eat, often it was those foods that I wanted to eat because I had gone without them for so long. Slowly but surely, I began craving a more varied diet. I started craving different vegetables and salads, and still craving the Nanaimo bars and brownies and chicken strips, and just I started getting a more kind of balanced craving. One of the most important things for me to kind of figure out and learn to acknowledge was the why behind what I was eating through this process. So I always say, it's less important what you're eating and it's more important why you're eating it. So there isn't, under intuitive eating, there isn't this idea of good foods and bad foods. There's no guilt attached to eating or guilt attached to certain foods. And I always explain to people that healthy eating is more about the why behind what you're eating than the actual content of what's on your plate. So for me, some days in my experience, eating brownies was the healthiest thing. It's what my body craved. I was hungry, I ate a brownie, I was full, and that was a healthy choice for me. Eating a salad under that context wouldn't have been the healthiest choice because I would have been giving in to restrictive thought patterns. On the flip side, sometimes eating a salad was actually the least healthy thing for me to do because of the reasons behind why I was eating that salad. So as I reshaped my relationship with food, I had to really take time to learn how to understand and kind of recognize the whys behind my food choices and really hold myself accountable in that regard and honor those cravings, allow myself to eat what I wanted, and steer away from more disordered whys and towards more mentally healthy whys. Some tips that I have for intuitive eating, if you're new to this whole thing, is to, number one, stop reading any pro-diet or pro-restrictive content and stop engaging in these conversations. This includes content that kind of praises restrictive diets for the sake of health. Anything that kind of goes into that restrictive sphere, really limit, or if you can, completely restrict any consumption of that. Stop engaging in food and diet conversations, especially early on in recovery. I found that it was not very helpful for me to start having conversations with other people about diets or dieting or about, nutrition. It was better to just kind of do my own thing. I knew the path I was on. I knew it was healthy for me. and it was best to just keep to myself. Consume a lot of pro-intuitive eating, pro-mindful eating, body positive kind of content. Try new foods. Trying new foods is really important and almost completely necessary in intuitive eating, especially if you have lived with a restrictive eating disorder up until this point. There's probably a lot of foods that you have prevented yourself from trying, and you may not know what you like or what your body is prone to craving. So I encourage you to step out of your comfort zone, try new foods. I'm gonna link to a really cool article down below that we have on Libro about that. Be patient with yourself. It takes time. Don't get discouraged if you eat past your fullness cue. Don't get discouraged if you wait too long after your hunger cue to eat something. Don't get discouraged if you're struggling to figure out what you're craving. All these things take time. I'm gonna point you to my video that I did yesterday. The question was, how long does recovery take? And I touch a bit on this kind of food relationship side of things, so I'll put the link down below. Another thing, if it resonates for you, is to get into cooking and baking. I really enjoy baking. I really enjoy cooking. And kind of early in my recovery, I really got into cooking and making my meals, and it just kind of helped me appreciate food in a different way and feel like I was really going that extra mile to feed myself and nourish myself because I was making it myself. So I don't say this as a way to like have control over what you're eating because you know what's in it. That's not it. It's just I find it very therapeutic, especially baking. I find very therapeutic. So, you know, give it a try. If it's not for you, that's fine. But if it is for you, you could develop a really cool new hobby that can really go in line with your recovery or just you rebuilding your relationship with food. Resources. So I have 3 books here that I just want to show you very quickly. First and foremost, the first official intuitive eating book by Evelyn, Tribole, and Elyse Resch. They are both dietitians. And it even has information if you are recovering from an eating disorder. That being said, intuitive eating is not only for those recovering from eating disorders, it's for everyone. Next, Geneen Roth was really helpful for me as well. Her book, Woman, Food, and God. It's not a religious book, but Women, Food, and God is a really, really good read. She has some excellent, really practical tips here on embracing your body and embracing intuitive eating. And then the other one that I really liked from her was Breaking Free from Emotional Eating. Pretty much every Geneen Roth book is good, but these are my 2 favorite. I'll put the names of these books down below as well. And then of course we have lots of articles on Libro about intuitive eating, so I'll also put information about that in the description box below, and I encourage you to go give those a read. I actually for a period of time did an entire intuitive eating series, and I walked through the various guidelines of intuitive eating. I encourage you to check those out. Now let's talk about reshaping my relationship with exercise. Throughout my eating disorder, I had a very dysfunctional relationship with exercise. I dealt with compulsive exercise. The first thing I did when I entered into recovery was I stopped exercising pretty much entirely. The idea was that I just removed the kind of obligation or like the need to exercise. Because I had such an unhealthy relationship with it, I really needed to focus on intuitive eating and working on kind of the deeper issues behind my eating disorder. And so the gym was a little bit kind of off bounds for a while. The next thing I did was start slowly. And by that, I mean really looking to the why behind exercise. Like I mentioned with food, the why behind what I was eating. It's also important to understand the mental why behind why I was exercising. So I really had to learn how to check in with myself and understand why do I want to go for a run, or why do I want to go to the gym? Is it for healthy reasons or is it for disordered reasons? So that was a really important step. And then just very slowly, without any kind of schedule or routine, I just started doing activities while checking in with myself. And sometimes I would take a few weeks off. Sometimes I might go a couple times in a week. So it was just a really constant process of checking in with myself. Where's my head at? Where's my health at? Why do I want to do this activity? And that kind of slowly but surely helped me rebuild my relationship with exercise. One of the things I really like to talk about when I talk about, developing a healthy relationship with exercise, especially during our post-eating disorder recovery, is the idea of commitment versus obsession. And I did a video about this quite a while ago, so I'm going to link to that down below. But the idea is committing to exercise versus being obsessed with it. Because exercise is part of a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Being active is part of a healthy, balanced lifestyle. However, being obsessed with exercise is very different than being committed to being active and being aware of your activity levels. So I definitely needed to reshape what was a very obsessive thinking pattern to being one that was more committed to being active, but also committed to my mental health at the same time. One thing that really helped me was in the same way that, exploring new foods was really helpful in my journey reshaping my relationship with food. Discovering new ways to be active was really helpful. I've always been a runner. I love to run, so that's always kind of been like top priority for me. But I also tried new and fun things. So one of the things that I did was take up hula hooping. I bought you can get fitness hula hoops, and I highly recommend it. It's really, really fun. It's easy. You can do it at home. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for 30. It doesn't matter. So that was a really big one for me. I also really enjoyed Pilates, I discovered. For a while I tried out swimming and I liked it. Now I kind of hate it, but it worked at that point. Just finding new ways to be active that don't fit into kind of the box of what, we think fitness should look like. Now I have even more activities. I've discovered badminton, which I love. In the spring and summer. I developed a new appreciation for just walking. I've never really, I guess maybe because I'm a runner, walking just always seemed kind of blah to me. But I'm trying to commit to walking Zoe more, so taking her for walks is actually really good, and I'm really allowing myself to realize if I go for a walk with her, I'm being active, and that's enough. And then doing stretches, that's something I'm really committed to now as well. Just keeping my body flexible, and it's kind of a way of showing, kind of care for my body. Just kind of taking that time, at the end of each day, even just 5 minutes to do some stretches, has been really helpful for me. And it just kind of is a daily reminder that, hey, body, I acknowledge you, and I care about you, and I'm going to spend this time with you. For resources, like I said, there's a couple of videos I'm going to link down below. There was an excellent article that went up on Libro just this week by Meg Hopkins. She's a personal trainer, and she talked specifically about this topic, about exercising and eating disorder recovery from a trainer's perspective. I'm going to link to that article as well. And then also I encourage you guys to check out our Stop Fitspiration campaign. This is something I launched quite a few years ago, and the whole idea behind Stop Fitspiration is, one, to kind of shine some light on the unhealthy messages behind Fitspiration content, and two, to really focus on developing healthy, more body positive, mentally healthy and balanced approaches and relationships with fitness. So I encourage you guys to check that out. Again, the links will be down below. In closing, just to recap, number one, look to redefine the whys behind what you're eating and how you're exercising. Number two, learn to check in with yourself and with your recovery team and with others to make sure that your whys are aligning with what's mentally healthy for you at this moment. Three, find variety in your foods, variety in your exercise and activities, and take it really slowly. And four, if you're entering recovery, be open to setting exercise aside for a while if you need to. So that's this video. I hope you guys have found it helpful. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to be answering the question, how did I find the courage to share my story? So once it's up, I'm gonna link to it below, and I'm also gonna link now to the videos that I've done yesterday and the day before below, so you can find them all in the description box. It's gonna be a big and long one. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye. Hey guys, as always, if you like this video, please hit that like button. It goes a long way to help my channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't. And I'd love to have you come check us out over at Libro Magazine, where we are championing mental health together, offering support to one another, and we're just a really great community. We have a lot of great resources, so you can visit us at libromagazine.com and on social media at Libro Magazine.